Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Thursday, December 8th, 2022. Just 17 days till Christmas. Holy shit. I just don't know where this time goes. It just blink and it's gone. But it's Thursday. It's 2:30. This is one of our highlights of the week as we get to tiptoe to PA in the house. I like to call this a little Philly special with the number one seed in the NFC, Philadelphia Eagles. We get a little report from there. We'll talk some hot stove as he lands his shortstop, and mine decided wanted to go out west and flew the coop. If we get time, a little 76ers action as the Celtics last night. It's just, it's more on the effort on the other teams. I mean, here's a Phoenix Sun team that was the number one seed last year in the playoffs. The return to Chris Paul, you can't be down 45 points at home. I don't care if the Harlem Globetrotters were playing. I mean, this is just ridiculous, but that's the NBA. That's the culture. That's the professional sports that we live in there. Got an NFL game tonight. The Raiders versus the Rams. No Eric Dickerson, no Vince Ferragamo, no Marshall Faulk, and the Raiders, who will play the Patriots next week. Josh McDaniels versus Bill We Trust. So much to talk about. So without further ado, let's bring him in. The one and only Mr. Dan Alexander.
Man, nothing gets me more pumped than that good afternoon, Jeffrey. That's how I know it's time for a little Philly special. We gave out all kind of winners last week. I told everybody, what the hell are these Sharps doing going in on the Tennessee Titans? I tried telling them, Jeffrey, that Jalen Hurts was going to put his stamp on the game. We told you over his passing touchdowns. We told you lay it with the Eagles. 4.5, Jeffrey. They could have made it 14.5, and my Birds still would have got it done, man. Most dominant game I saw out of them all year. So I don't know. It's been kind of good luck ever since we've been coming on here together. So, Philly special ain't going nowhere anytime soon, I think.
Hell no. We got you through the playoffs, maybe the Super Bowl, and then that'll get closer to some spring lacrosse almost, right?
Oh, yeah. We're gonna have some February lacrosse for the folks, Jeffrey. Actually going to be hopping on a call tomorrow with my guy, RJ Kaminsky with the PLL. We're going to be talking championship series that's coming up. That's in Washington, D.C. in February. And then we're going to blink. Let's not wish away any time just yet, Jeffrey. We got to enjoy the football season while it is still here. But, you know that I'll be itching for some lacrosse right around the corner. Me as a lacrosse coach myself, we've already been doing workouts and things like that. So, the Game of Thrones was always winter is coming. Well, winter is here, and I think you know that up north too. God darn it, it's been getting cold, brother. But spring is really what's coming, and you and I are going to be ready for it, ready to make some money too.
100%. I mean, last week, listen, we won't be Monday morning quarterback. They can go back to the tape. We hit everything that we talked about.
We told you. We told you beforehand. We told you. We already gave them the playbook. We don't need to rehash it. We told them.
The A.J. Brown revenge tour, not one but two. And the funny is there was some Angry Bird fans pointing up to the Tennessee GM who just happened to get fired this week to boot. I mean, can you guys take it easy on the GM? He is now fired during the holiday season.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate consequence of when you trade away a generational talent like A.J. Brown, get really nothing in return. Funny, another little tie there. One of the people who was in the box of when they were, flipping the birds up at him was actually a star lacrosse player, Bryce Wasserman. So he's from around the area. He was just like He's the one in the video that's kind of sitting there just like smirking. He's like, I hope they're not flipping me off. Jeez. So yeah, it was pretty wild though, man. But hey, I think when we did our season preview talking about why we were pretty bullish on this Philadelphia Eagles team coming into the year, I think you yourself kind of talked me into, hey, grab this Eagles season win total while it's still sitting around 9, because it's going to go to 9.5. It's going to go to 10. You could have gotten it all the way up to 10.5, and we would have cashed it by this point in the season already. But one of the reasons you and I were really optimistic wasn't just because of the impact on scoring that A.J. Brown would bring to this team. You made the terrific point that Dallas Goedert was going to be a much better player because of it, that Miles Sanders underneath, people aren't going to be able to load the box because they can actually extend the field, because they can make you eat in the middle of the field, that if you load that box, they'll just run a post pattern right behind it. And A.J. Brown, and one of the best route runners, I argue, in the NFL, and Devontae Smith, they'll make you pay if you put them in single coverage. So we were really excited about the impact scoring wise that A.J. Brown would bring, but just the boost that he would be, the rising tide that would lift all the boats on this Philadelphia Eagles offense. And I think the boats that's been lifted the most, Jeffrey, is just what Jalen Hurts is doing, man. I mean, I hope it's sustainable. I hope it's not just a flash in the pan. I hope it's not similar to where Lamar Jackson, where when teams would play him the first time, his speed would kind of catch up to him. And then when they would play him the second time around, they had a little bit more answers for him, because I think Jalen Hurts has a chance to be a very special player if he stays healthy and he continues this progression, because it was actually 2 years ago to the day that Carson Wentz was benched. And he comes in, he plays that Saints game, and, you could argue history, the rest is history there, because he doesn't even look like the same player. He doesn't even look like the same person that entered that Saints game as a starter then. The progressions that he's made, and maybe I'm too close to the situation, so I want to get your thoughts. Am I a little homerism in saying, damn, this guy's arm has really started to come along here a little bit in complement to what he can do with his legs?
That was always the big question. And got to give credit where credit is due. In your front office here, hats off, because what they did was is you could see Jalen last year, O-line a little dinged up, take the snap, first read, and then run. He wasn't going to sit in the pocket. And he would get, he's moving the change. He thinks he's doing the right thing, which if he kept that thought process, eventually he's going to get hurt. And so what did they do? He threw 7 passes across the middle the year before. So what are we going to do? We need someone that's not afraid to cross over the middle. They bring in A.J. Brown. And as we said, you now get another year with Devontae Smith. This is going to open up the seams for Goddard. And the rest has been history. And it's a team that, listen, you got lightning in a bottle. Here's where I'm going to compare it to. And I'm not comparing the two as in what are the expectations. Justin Fields right now is where Jalen Hurts was last year. Listen, I don't have any wide receivers. I don't have an O-line, but I show flashes. So the Chicago Bears now going to work on the O-line. They need to bring in that number 1 wide receiver, so the Moonies, the Cole Kmets now can open up the field. And does he make that next step? But
I think that's a terrific player comp, and one that I really wasn't even thinking of, because I think that Fields has relied a lot more on his legs. But to your point, he didn't even have a Devontae Smith. Dude, he didn't even have a Gregory Ward to throw to. So really, until they brought in Claypool, he had Bupkis. And even when the Eagles maybe didn't have great weapons, they always had one of the best offensive lines in the game. So I think that's a really good player comp. And if you want to compare where Hurts was and where he is today, I think saying that Justin Fields was where he was where it was very inconsistent. It was a one-read quarterback. It was, if he's going to throw it, he needs his guy to be open because he's not fitting into any holes. I just don't know if I've seen a player, and I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is Josh Allen, because I think Josh Allen still makes these wow throws that make your eyes pop out of your head, that I don't really think is part of Jalen Hurts' game, and nor do I think it needs to be. But I don't think I've seen a 2-year jump and progression from a quarterback that we've seen in Jalen Hurts these past 2 years to now be an MVP candidate. At some books, he's tied odds-on favorite with Pat Mahomes. I'm trying to rack my brain, and in recent memory, I can't think of a quarterback that has had this quick of a progression to being a top 5 player in the NFL other than Josh Allen. Though I think Josh Allen, he's kind of a league in his own, a guy who was a fringe, is he even going to get drafted, up high, and then to have the absolute turnaround that he's become. I think that's the closest player comp to where he's going, I guess, that you can make. But I think Justin Fields, you hit the nail on the head with that one. And maybe Bears fans are hearing this and they're saying, oh my God, we finally have something to be excited about. I don't know. I think maybe you'd be more excited that probably Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be wearing green and yellow next year, whatever happens with that.
I think Josh took a little longer.
Yeah,
he
I
showed
agree.
Flashes than where Jalen is. The one comp that I'll make, and he came out guns a-blazing his first year, and he just added on, was Patrick Mahomes. But they're two different. He doesn't run as often as Jalen, but when he needed to,
the angles he's able to throw. He's a shortstop, basically playing quarterback, and oh my God, he can make every throw on the field. So yeah, I would love to throw oh my God, Jalen Hurts is Pat Mahomes. I don't know. Let's just worry about beating him in the MVP race, and then we can let Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp debate that kind of stuff.
I think this question that I'm going to ask you, I can't wait for the answer, because I'm just going to ask it. You in Philly had 2 of the best mobile quarterbacks. I'm going back to Randall Cunningham. I'm going back to Michael Vick.
Of course.
Jalen Hurts. Can you give us now what the buzz is, what the talk is in Philly? If I was at the barbershop, I was like the local watering hole. Now, me being, as you can see, gray hair, losing hair, I bring up, Randall Cunningham. I bring up Michael Vick, and then the millennials saying, who? I said, just hit Google, will you? And what is the comparison? What is the talk? I know this is only his second year, and we're expecting him to keep making these, but is he held in that standard already, or does he still got work to do?
I mean, Randall Cunningham himself was on terrestrial Philadelphia radio about a month ago saying, I see so much of myself in Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. So, I think any of these young bucks that are, who the heck are you talking about? I think when the player himself is saying, I kind of see that too. I honestly think with Mike Vick, he's part of the reason why I'm such a diehard Eagles fan. Like when they gave him a second chance at life after, you could debate until you're blue in the face, should he have ever been allowed in the NFL? I'm not here to do that. All I know is he served time in jail. After he served time in jail, which the penal system is made to do, he felt like he was reformed. The Eagles felt comfortable enough to have him back in a side role. So the thing with Mike Vick, the just absolute effortlessness that he had at throwing the ball, man. I mean, this guy could throw it on a rope, 60-yard drop in the bucket with just the flick of the wrist. So I think out of the 3 of them, I would argue that the sheer athletic freak was Mike Vick. I think Mike Vick, unfortunately, because he was that great athletic freak, he was able to get by with not learning how to read defenses, with not learning how to tuck the ball away. Like, Mike Vick in today's NFL, I feel like would fizzle out a little bit more quickly because, these defensive coordinators and the way that they're able to scheme against you and the way that they're able to just study film to the nth degree, use next level analytics to take you out of your game. I feel like maybe Mike Vick wouldn't be as sustainable as a Randall Cunningham or as what we're seeing in Jalen Hurts. And that's what we don't know yet. That's what we don't know, if we will see this kind of sustained success. But I think the buzz is, oh my goodness, we have a legitimate quarterback here. And I think my favorite thing about Jalen Hurts is, and it's my favorite thing since they signed him, it's the intangibles. So around the locker room and the buzz around, they got a little nickname for my guy Jalen, and it's the thermostat. So they call him the thermostat because sometimes the temperature is going to get a little bit hot in Philadelphia. Sometimes, it might get a little bit cold when you got people, mother effing you this and mother effing you that. The thing is, with a thermostat, they aren't adjusting to the temperature. What Jalen Hurts does, he sets the temperature. You wouldn't know if he just threw his third interception of the game or if he just threw his fourth touchdown pass of the game, with his demeanor on the sideline, with the way that it's always that next play mentality. When you hear him speak in press conferences, he's the most calm, cool, and collected, just well-spoken quarterback that I personally have seen in Philadelphia. He doesn't just do coach speak where he's trying to pander and he's trying to, say the right thing. He says truly what is on his mind and what he believes. And I think that's my favorite thing about him outside of what he does on the field, is this whole entire locker room and this whole entire city believes that we have a real one, because he believes that he is the guy, and he believes in his own skills. So he doesn't let outside noise really flap him, which in Philadelphia, and up north, if you're letting that outside noise get to you, Mr. Carson Wentz, it's going to be a long, long career. That's for sure.
You talked about Michael Vick, and just effortlessly, he would sit in the pocket and he would flick his wrist and it would be 60 yards, right? And then I'm like, oh man, there's no one there in sight. And then in comes Deshaun Jackson, just like this, catch, touchdown.
It's one of the funnest offenses ever to watch. Him, Jeremy Maclin, and then you had one of the best open field runners in NFL history since Barry Sanders and LaShawn McCoy. I mean, LaShawn McCoy in his prime. It's funny because another anniversary to this day was when the Eagles had the Snow Bowl against the Detroit Lions, a game which I was in the stadium for. LaShawn McCoy sets an Eagles rushing record that still stands to this day in 1.5 feet of snow, Jeffrey. I mean, that was one of the most special teams. I think I would argue it's probably one of the best NFL football teams that didn't win a championship. And yes, I know I'm a homer, but I think they would at least be in the top 10 of a lot of people's conversations. And you think about who came off of that team. You have a Hall of Fame coach in Andy Reid. You have a Hall of Fame kicker in David Akers. I love that era of football. And man, it was always a sight to behold when you had those guys running around the field.
It's so funny. I was never a Deshaun Jackson guy. Huge Maclin fan. Huge.
I loved Mac. That was my jersey. I would always wear it. Maclin was my guy. And really, outside of him, Terrell Owens, and I wouldn't even put him in the same conversation as Terrell Owens. We haven't had many wide receivers to be excited about. That's why I think it's pretty awesome that we have two players who would be a number one wide receiver on any team in the NFL, and Devontae Smith and with A.J. Brown. And I'm a wide receiver guy. You know what I mean? I was always a little too big to get out there and cut it up. But in flag football, man, in the Thanksgiving football games, these hands don't drop nothing, because I was always a wide receiver guy working on catching. I just, was a little too big around the britches for running out there in the slot, let's say.
And it's funny. This will be the last going down memory lane here. I can't believe we're 20 minutes in and we're still.
Oh, it's what we do.
Andy Reid, 4 straight NFC championships. Moves on to Kansas City, gets to the bowl a couple times, wins the bowl. When you are sitting talking football, how is that name received in Philadelphia?
You gotta love Big Red. Because I think it was a perfect storm that kind of got him out of here. I think, Eagles fans always revered him and respected him, but there was the belief in Philadelphia they were never going to win the big game with him. And I don't know how much that had to do with him, how much it had to do with Donovan McNabb, how much it had to do with, the organization as a whole. But it was never going to happen here. But I'll tell you, when he won his first Super Bowl, I even bought a t-shirt and was walking around my Super Bowl party, had a big Kool-Aid jug on it with Andy Reid glasses that said "Time's yours" on it. I was cheering like it was the Philadelphia Eagles. I love that guy. He set the Eagles up for years of success with the drafting that he was able to do. And I think people can debate how great he is as a game day coach, but as far as a talent evaluator, look at some of the guys that Andy Reid is. I mean, there isn't a Tyreek Hill. Someone would have ended up finding him, but does he have the career that he had without Andy Reid finding him? Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson. These are guys that weren't top of boards for people, and Andy Reid went out and found him. Somehow he stole Pat Mahomes. I think he is one of the best coach/GMs that has ever been in the NFL. I think that's not even debatable, Jeff.
100%. He just moved right up 10, 15 spots. That's our guy.
Yeah, you win that Super Bowl.
And the funny thing is, they draft Mahomes, comes in the first day, hands him a clipboard, and Pat goes, "What's this?" He goes, "That's yours for the year. We got our starter right there called Alex Smith. You learned from him. Next year, it's yours." He's like, "Okay."
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. It worked out pretty well in hindsight there, Jeff.
Last week, 6.5-point favorites, public all in on O'Henry. Steamrolled, boat raced, whatever you want to see. This week, 6.5, 6, 7. In New York, Giants, an inept offense. It is a divisional game. You had a couple games at home to get fat. What's your thoughts?
I think this line's just a little head scratching to me, Jeff. Just because, I'm looking at now we're on Thursday here. So this is where you're going to start seeing the public money coming in. We talked about this before, how the public is betting earlier than ever. So, typically your line moves that are happening on Mondays and Tuesdays, those are still going to be sharp moves. And I also want to remind people too, until the volume gets in, and even sometimes then, public money isn't crazily moving markets. And most lines that you're going to see are because a respected bettor or a conglomerate of bettors. Some people call them syndicates, are getting down on a certain side. That's what's going to be moving the money more than Henry, Hank, and Joe all going on the same play for $10 parlays. So I'm just looking here, Jeff, and according to the Wager Talk Live odds screen, and I know you look at a couple of different places as well, this is one of the best free odds that you can get. I'm seeing 67% of the tickets on the Giants thus far, but 93% of the money is pouring in on the Giants here, which I mean, that's got to be sharp money. I think at the end of the day, where my money is going to be is on, if I can get a 7.5. I think I got to take it with the Giants because it's a divisional game. You're a home dog. Both of those things, divisional home dogs, that's a profitable thing in the NFL. When you just go talk about going down memory lane, you go down memory lane with how much you've been able to win money betting divisional dogs at home. You're going to have a good time. The other thing is I think the Giants are poised pretty well to counter what the Philadelphia Eagles do, because with the Giants, they just run the ball. They're going to run it. They're going to have a quarterback that runs it. And I think last week with the Eagles absolutely shutting down Derrick Henry, maybe some of this public is going to think, oh my goodness, this rushing defense is for real. However, Jeff, when the game was still competitive, before the ankle came a little bit up limp for Tannehill, running quarterbacks still give the Philadelphia Eagles fits because when you have two strong players in the backfield, especially a quarterback that can hurt you when you're dropping back in coverage, that just makes it ultimately tougher to defend. And, Daniel Jones, I think, would be the first one to tell you he would rather be hoofing it than airing it out downfield. So I think that 7 is looking real good to me. But the wild thing is that we're seeing 93% of the money, but we basically stayed pat at 7. We've seen some 6.5s flash up, but when those 6.5s flash, it seems like the buyback is real, and then it goes right back up to 7. So if you can get it under a touchdown, maybe the Eagles, but you know me, I love my teasers, Jeff. I think you tease the Philadelphia Eagles down, because, you get them at a pick 'em price. I know it's not the typical thing that you want to do. You want to take it 8.5 and take them down to 2.5. But I could see this being a 1-point win for the Eagles. If you're able to just get them by a half point, pin that with taking the Baltimore Ravens up Tyler Huntley, is Pittsburgh as real as they're going to look? You take them to 8.5. You take the Birds down to a half point. Line moves better than anybody, Jeff. That's one of the major parts and tenets of your handicapping style. So, what do you think when you're looking at these odds screens and the colors are popping and they're changing, but this number refuses to go to that 7.5? It refuses to go down to 6. What does that tell you?
It tells me that Vegas knows the number is 6 or 7 here in regards to the way I'm reading this. I had a 6.5 for the 45. I'll go to our good friends at Circa. Jeffrey Benson and Matt have it at 7 minus 05 with a 45. So right there is telling me their next move is to 6.5. So does this basic math of 45, 27, 20, that gives you the over? They're giving you that feeling. Okay, the Giants are going to get to 17. Okay. The Eagles are going to get to 24. What happens? Who scores that next? Is it a field goal to the Giants, 24-20, or is it a field goal to the Eagles, 27-17? Okay.
Yeah, that's a great. No, that's because that's what happens. It becomes a math problem. So if we think the Giants are going to get to 17, just following that, do we try and hit the Giants team total? Do we look at the Giants team total over, or how would you? Because one thing I really like is this is the first time this Giants defense that has really struggled is going to see this Philadelphia Eagles offense. And outside of a 3-week little blip in the season, it's been a money-making machine to just play the Eagles in the first half. So you're telling me I get the Eagles, if I can get them at a field goal and then only worry about the push, I would maybe look at laying it with the Eagles in the first half. But I think if you can find anything under that key number of 14 in the first half, I'm looking at that Eagles first half team total over. We get a touchdown, a touchdown and 2 field goals in the first half. Get 12.5 over. I'm not sure what the number is right now. I know I locked it in at 12.5, but if you can get that under 14, thoughts on attacking team totals in this one, Jeffrey? Because if we think Giants are getting to 17, I think we hit that team total now, right?
Well, the key is, what are they giving you for the team total? Are they giving
I'm gonna look it up.
They give you the 17.5, which is an auto play to go over because it'll probably be juice under. Or do they get cute here and give you the 18.5, 19 number where you need 20 or 21 to get there?
Yeah, so let's see. We're looking at more lines here. Pull up the team total. So, all right, Jeff, man, you're freaking good at this. What was the numbers Jeff was just throwing at you? What are they giving us? 18.5 or 19.5? Yeah. Those are your two options out here in the marketplace. So if you want to play over 18.5, you got to lay minus 125 to do it. I think that juice would keep me away there. I'm seeing an 18.5 at DraftKings minus 115. If you're ballsy enough and want to go over the 19.5, you can get it at some plus money at some spots. But I think it sounds right around there because I think you're spot on. Do they get to 20? I think that's the question. If they get to 20, I don't know. This Eagles defense showed that they can stymie offenses. It's just, do they get beat once or twice over the top? Does Saquon take one to the house? Damn, that's a good number, Jeff. I think that kept us off it.
Well, here's the key to success right there. Did they give you the Eagles at 23.5, 24.5, or are they being coy with like a 25.5?
We see in 25.5s and 26.5s. So I think that's telling you why this number keeps fluttering around that 7. They're saying the Eagles are going to get their points. That's what's telling me.
So I'm going to go back to what I said 5 minutes ago. 24-17. Who gets the next score? That's exactly where you're at. You're at the number under over is 45.
Great point.
They want you to take the over in the Giants. They want you to take the over in the Eagles. Yet the two key numbers there are 24-17. That's your key numbers.
Yeah, man, you broke that down. You broke that down real nice, and I think when I'm talking it out, that's why I love doing this with you, Jeff, because I hear this little buzz in my head, and then you say, just wait. There's a reason why that's buzzing in your head. These numbers are right around it. I still Even with that, man, I gotta look at this this Eagles first half team total over. I think they're going to be able to get out and jump on top of this team. So I'm seeing 12.5 if you want to lay minus 135 and play for a touchdown, 2 field goals. Minus 125 another spot, or again, if you want to get a little ballsy and say they get 2 touchdowns, 13.5 even money at FanDuel and MGM. I might do a little sprinkle on that, maybe trying to get those 2 touchdowns, but I think they at least reach 13. So that'll be my official play in this game. I'm going to go over that first half team total for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Did they give you the Giants at 7 and a hook?
No, so I think it initially started around that because we see 8s, 9s, and 10s in the marketplace and a half. Okay. So it probably started around 7 and everybody bet it over that 7. You can find an 8.5 at minus 120. That's at points bet as your best number for that team total Giants. But I think they could sputter out of the gate here a little bit. That's why I wouldn't want to go with a first half team total for both teams at that 22.5. I think the Eagles get their points here early as they have in most of their games this year. And then it's the second half. Is that back door swinging wide open or not? I think it falls into the equation that you broke out there too. It's just who goes in that back door.
I'll paint the picture. 13-7 Philly, 3 seconds left before the half. Giants field goal kicker up there for a 48-yarder to go in 13-10 or 13-7. That's it right there.
I'm going to take it to the bank. Jeff, I might even, maybe we got Biff's Almanac and you got a crystal ball over there. Maybe we just put a little, not even pizza money, just a little coffee money. How about just a $2 bet or something like that on exact score in the first half, what Jeffrey was laying out right there. If he hits that one, man, whoo.
I had the Bruins were 14-0 against at home this year. In comes Cassidy in Vegas, and we had, as you know, we had the team total. We got that early, but I had a conversation with my accountant, Scott, good friend, and I says, this numbers aren't adding up. I says, this has got 3-3 OT written all over it, and sure enough, 4-3 OT.
Oh, I saw your tweet. That's why you got to follow my guy Jeff on Twitter at EC Sports Invest. He literally gave out the script to the game. Literally in text form, him and Scott broke down exactly what was going to happen. Doesn't it feel good when you nail them like that, man? That was like me on that what was it? The Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay game. We came on to talk about that. I said, get the 6.5 with the Eagles now. I said, you're going to see Jordan Love snaps and get Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown scorer. When you get all of those, man, and you nail the script of a game, yeah, you got to pat yourself on the back a little bit there, brother.
You had the team total over Buffalo last Thursday. That went flying over. That was a walk in the park, 10.5, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever you wanted. You got it. There is a game, Raiders and Rams tonight. Are you playing any props, or did you see anything, or is that a hard pass for you?
So this game, it's got stink all over it, man, because what, you're going to tell me I have to choose between future Hall of Famer Jordan Wolford and future Hall of Famer Baker Mayfield? Like that's the Sophie's Choice where all of the choices are bad. So this game stinks to high hell because the Raiders are clearly the side, but how come the line's moving against them? All the action's on the Raiders, and this went down from 7.5 all the way to 6.5 today, and it's painted 6.5, and it's juiced the other way. We might see 6s by game time. Unfortunately, I have the Las Vegas Raiders in a teaser already. Okay. I took them down to 1. They're paired with some of those other things that I talked about, did a couple different 3-way ones there. I think a way to attack this game, though, this Rams secondary is awful, and you're going to have to, it's a chalky play. But Devontae Adams is going to score a touchdown in this game, right? And Devontae Adams figures to go probably close to 100 yards. So why not do a little same game parlay, pizza and beer money? Let's go Devontae Adams, 100 or more receiving yards and an anytime touchdown scorer. I think that gets you around probably plus 145, plus 150. It's kind of a chalky play when you think about parlaying two things together and only seeing a plus 150, but you get to cheer for some fun offense against a pretty poor secondary. No Aaron Donald in this game, so the pass rush probably going to be a little bit lighter. So I lean Las Vegas in this game. The stinky line move going to keep me off of it. But hey, let's have some fun. Devontae Adams to score a touchdown, go over 100 yards. That's what I'm playing.
Lastly, because I know you got another show very quick shortly here, and make sure you tell the boys I said hello. Listen, you got your man, you got Trey Turner. I said 10 for 300. That's what I was hearing. And it's kind of cute. Philly says, we don't want to pay you 30 million a year, so we're going to give you 10. We're going to give you 300 for 11.
Yeah, for
Just
11.
Yeah. Just like Xander. We're not going to pay you, that 28 a year. We're going to pay you at 11 years. You got your shortstop. Was the buzz amazing? Like, yes, we got him. Or was it, holy shit, 11 years? What the hell?
It's not my money. What the hell do I care what they're paying these guys? I think, the outside pundits, the immediate criticism is, well, think about how much money you're going to be playing Bryce Harper and Trey Turner when they're 38 years old. You think I care about that, man? I don't even know what's going to be happening in a month from now, Jeffrey. If they win one championship in the span of these 11-year contracts and the 13-year contract for Bryce, it was worth it. That's what baseball is, man. These guys get these insane guaranteed contracts. Look at what Bogart's got, man. And the Red Sox were basically lowballing him, and he said, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to go ride on into the sunset, get the bag. These are there's never going to be a bubble that bursts because these leagues continue to bring in money. The players continue to cooperate their deals so that there is always a clause that the deals are only going to climb higher and climb higher. So I think it's a bozo argument. And I think it's people who have sour grapes that want to say, well, look at how much money they spent. Like it's coming out of your pocket. Come on, folks. Let's bring players in. Let's have some fun. It's an exciting time to be a Philadelphia fan, as long as you're not paying attention to the Sixers and as long as you're not paying attention to the Flyers. But at least we have two teams that we can have some fun with, Jeff. But bringing Trey Turner in, it was one that you kind of said it's probably writing on the wall. You were kind of since the offseason started, you said they're going to end up with one of those shortstops. My money would be on Trey Turner. Man, maybe we should have placed that on some of those offshores landing spot bets because we probably could have gotten some nice money. But it's exciting, man. And for the Red Sox, I know that they lost Bogarts, but they ended up bringing in decent pitching staff. Maybe they'll still be players for Correa, or do you think them lowball and Bogarts told you everything you needed to know about how they're going to be players in this offseason?
I unfortunately knew once they signed Story,
it was over.
It was over. And unless they got him into the 160 range, I think they paid Story like 141 or something. They didn't even want to give him 6 years. Now the market's 9, 10, 11 years, and they're not going down that road. So our glory yesterday was a Japanese outfielder and Kenley Jansen, and they won't be in the Correa sweepstakes. They won't be in the Swanson sweepstakes. So I'm left holding the bag here. I don't know. Baseball, when the Red Sox are playing well here, the summers go by so good. And as you know, when you got a great baseball season, it's holding hands, kumbaya, skip to my Lou, and it's just so good.
Yeah, I mean, you and the mayor, our guy Dave Sherapan. I was never a baseball guy. I can't put Pandora back in the box now. Newbie is going to be a baseball guy come this season. So when we're doing our lacrosse hits, we might just be looking at that board and seeing those Christmas tree lights be blinking as we're talking some action on the diamond as well, brother.
The scroll has been going the whole time, Dan, at Newbie Talks, at Bet on Lacrosse, at the Cash Consideration Show, at Wager Talk, at 8:30 a.m. WEEU, Premier Lacrosse. Tell them where to find you.
Yeah, nice and easy. I mean, you see it above my head. You see it below me as well at Newbie Talks. That's the best way to find me. NEUBYTALKS. As Jeffrey knows, a lifetime friendship is just a DM away. I mean, I'm always open, always answering questions. I look forward to talking with you. You want me on your show? I am all for it if I am free. So, Jeff, you know better than anybody. It's easy to find me. Why not just hit me with that follow? I'll hit you right back, and we'll be going back and forth talking about what we're smoking over the weekends in the smoker. Don't get your heads out of the gutter. What we're going to be throwing in the smoker over the weekend. So, Jeff, always a pleasure, man. I look forward to it every Thursday. And as always, cash the over when Jeff are hopping behind the mic.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one, the only Dan Alexander at Newbie Talks. We wish everyone a blessed afternoon. Have some fun. Great insight as always here. And I'll catch you in about 45 minutes with the closing bell with Southside Riley himself. Stay tuned.